Heard none?
Let these folks in.
Good evening, this is a meeting of the Hampden Board of Selectmen and the Hampden Board of Health being held in the Townhouse Auditorium on January 6, 2025. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves? Kristen, I see Kristen there, Kristen Rose.
Hello, Kristen.
Happy New Year, Kristen, from the Wilbraham Hampden Times recording.
I have my attorney supposed to be here, waiting for him, if it,
And you are,
Antonio Pizzone,
Okay. Is he coming, Anthony?
supposed to be.
Okay, we'll just move on to
Yep.
the next thing until he comes again, which is a discussion of filling retirement positions.
I don't believe that's gonna happen, so, no.
The retirement's not happening?
Leave it, what? Didn't seem that certain.
So
Go ahead.
it's likely that we'll have two. One is the Board of Health Coordinator position, and the other one will be the Town Accountant. The Board of Health Coordinator, I believe, is retiring in April. And the accountant hasn't set a date yet, but I suspect it's, probably wouldn't want to go past the fiscal year. So,
Is it your thought that we can get for the accountant first,
yeah.
can we share with another municipality, or are companies that do this basically, hire out to municipalities rather than getting a person?
Yeah, there's certainly companies that do this type of work. And then I suspect there's also existing town accountants that work for other towns that may want to take on, if there's a remote component to the position, I think that makes it more attractive. And with everything online through Vadar, I don't see why not. We have the individual who does the data input on Fridays already, so that position is it's gonna be busier at different times of year, and it's gonna be slow at different times of year. But it's certainly not full-time. So I think it'll be more attractive if there's a remote component to it, for sure.
How do we approach the remote component with current employees who are encouraged to be in building?
Good question.
Because I don't know how, if our employee handbook has a designation for those types of roles like that.
Yeah, we'll have, that's one thing we'll have to look at if
Yeah, and
that's the case.
is what Susie's doing some of the work now?
Yeah.
Is she interested in taking on more hours in an accountant role, or is she limited?
I don't know. I don't think she, we'll have to double check. I don't know if she has the qualifications or
Qualifications, yeah.
certifications to
She's the data entry.
that job.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Do you think that if we go with one option, which is the remote type person, in our current budget structure, do you think it'd be a heck of an increase, or you have no sense? I know before we talked about, this was a couple of years ago, that a full-time accountant at other towns can go like $70,000, $80,000.
I think that'll be on the low end if we try to hire full-time.
Right.
There's a shortage of municipal finance people in this area, so it makes it difficult. That's why I think it'd be more attractive if we can find somebody who's looking to add hours.
And I think John mentioned earlier, is there a type of municipal agreement between other towns where we can do a shared service?
That's one option. One option would be a shared services agreement.
Especially if you say, and I know, Craig, you've made a good point about the remote part, but especially if there's allowed to be a remote component, the proximity to the other town may not matter as much.
Correct.
Well, we're 5,000 people, and Wales is 5,000 people, but we both need 20 hours of account
Right.
service.
So my thought is if we do a shared agreement with somebody, it would allow for the remote component of it because the person's technically not an in-house employee at that point.
Who covers the health insurance?
Right.
Yeah, we would probably share, we would have, if I was writing the shared services agreement, it would, and it was one of our employees, I would want the employee benefits to be shared. Whereas if we can hire somebody, outright, then
We own it.
less than 20, then maybe there's not.
But what if we just contracted with some
Right.
firm that does it, then
That's the other
we don't own the employee, we don't own the benefits, we don't,
Yep,
Is there firms that you can contract? I mean, there must be, right?
yeah, there are.
I think this is
Imagine
actually,
these small towns, smaller towns than us, like Pelham and Shutesbury and those places.
Yeah,
this is, like you said before, this is an opportunity at the trade show to look for that type of thing, right?
oh, yeah.
It's exactly, no,
Oh, no, they do
talk
have
about
those.
the MMA thing that you
Yeah, yeah,
got going, and so, this is the opportunity, I would think 3 nights probably, maybe Boston Harbor.
Yeah, definitely.
Don, you should go as chair as well.
Can I ask, what type of service would you get, like you said, going remote or farming it out, where would they have interest in if they weren't a town employee versus?
Yeah, it's accounting work.
Well, I understand, but,
It's just, yeah, but I don't think,
I mean,
it's just moving, it's just doing numbers. It's not like the treasurer, I think, might have more of a buy-in because they're a town resident. The account, it's just making sure one number adds up to the other. But I think, sir, other jobs, you're right. It's better to have a town person because they're more invested.
Remote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You know what to talk to if you really, it's.
Brian, you had some ideas too about Board of Health and facilities too, didn't you?
Yeah, so the Board of Health Coordinator does a lot right now. I don't know who that is, but they do a lot, and they do a lot of different things in town. So they oversee the transfer station, the customer service for the Board of Health. That's a busy office. A lot of people come in for septic plans and that type of information. Facilities, operations. We had talked in the past about separating out the facilities part, especially when the operations are moved to TWB, that it's a much larger building than this one is. So it's likely that we'll need somebody with more hours to focus on. I think all of our facilities, doesn't need just be limited to TWB and the townhouse. It could bleed over into the other ones as well. And then obviously the transfer station is sort of this entity in of itself. That's more of like a scheduling supervisor role, if I understand that correctly. So I'm not sure we're gonna get one person that's gonna fit all those, so.
Right.
I think they might need, some of those responsibilities might need to be split off. And we also have this underlying need for more administrative assistance to some of these boards that have become busier over the years. So.
I think you had mentioned in one of the emails, pulling one of a transfer station employee and making them the lead person in charge of that. Is that how you envision that?
I'm not sure. It's just that we're gonna need somebody to coordinate that overall operation. When the Board of Health Coordinator goes away, and I don't, maybe we'll be lucky and we'll have somebody with that experience that can come in. But I think it's gonna depend on who we can find.
Well,
If we moved into, I was in several different city halls around here, and when you go into a lot of them, they have a receptionist. They say, can I help you? I want to go to the collector's office here or there, they send a person, like we had here during the
that
pandemic.
lady, who was that lady?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, during the pandemic, and that person might be able to fill some of that clerical positions too, do stuff envelopes or check whatever they do, you know, so that might be something we need to look at as well.
Yeah.
So we have to, we need, I guess we need some kind of organization, new organization type thing.
I think, as Brian was alluding to, you know, difficult to look at in this footprint when you may have a totally different footprint in the future. You know, and I think we have money in the budget currently for facilities management.
We did, I saw that,
10,000, I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that, yeah. So, just like you talked about, look at what
I
happened.
don't know where that came from, but it's,
But you look what happened today, all of a sudden, oh, the septic needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
is that truly the role of the health coordinator? Or because we happen to have an excellent person doing that job that oversees it as well. You know, we may not be able to be so lucky in the future.
yeah.
But I think Brian's point is, we've kicked around this before, much like we're doing this overall thing for municipal building use right now,
We have to look
do
at
we
all
have the
these
person
jobs.
for, right?
Okay, well, it's on our radar, so that's the important thing.
We're gonna have to make a decision sooner or later. though.
Yes.
Sooner than later.
Sooner than later.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, we'll want some
Sooner the
overlap.
better.
Yeah, we'll definitely want some overlap.
When is the annual conference, Brian? Isn't it got to be pretty close? To kick it back this year a little bit, or?
In January sometime, right?
Usually, yeah.
January, yeah,
20s, the 20s seems to ring a bell.
All right, it's pushed back, then, okay.
yeah, it's later in January.
Well, I think it'd be valuable, definitely going on there, like, just the trade show itself,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, there's a couple firms out here that,
Right.
I can't remember their names, but they work with some towns around here.
Yeah.
This is your attorney?
Yes.
I'll turn the meeting over to the chairman of the Board of Health, Mr. Flynn.
Health board? No,
Health.
we haven't done health board yet, no, thank you. I'd like to call, so we have a public hearing scheduled for the Hampden Board of Health. We have before us, this is for the parcel violation at Scannick Road, parcel 09-46002. We sent notice to Mr. Basile, right?
Right.
Okay. And the attorney, and I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Charles Sclafani. Charles Sclafani.
Avani, thank you. We also have before us Finn McCool, the head of the Shared Health Department, and Wendell Hulbert, the building commissioner for the town of Hampden. Finn, you notified them of a violation happening at their property, and can you walk us through the timeline there, please?
Sure. So on October 30th, I was notified that there's possibly someone living at this parcel in a trailer. And the only bathroom really is the porta potty that's there. That's good. Between October 30th and December 2nd, we kind of documented the ongoing violations, and then on December 3rd, the violation letter was issued. It was a formal notice and order to correct, so it was sent to the owner with the list of violations. It was then on December 11th that we were notified by USPS that they, the owner had picked up the letter. I then proceeded to go over to check the property again. I had ran into the owner. We had chatted about what's going on there. He did at that time confirm that he's living in it part-time. Since that he does some kind of contracting work outside of the state, so when he's not contracted out to these projects, he's this site. And then that led us to the December 23rd meeting when we had discussed this issue, and the board voted to agree with findings, and then scheduled this meeting tonight.
Can I just jump in for a minute?
let me just keep laying the foundation, if you will. Specifically, Finn, what is the violation we're talking about here?
So, let me see here. So the couple of things, the lack of heat, especially in the severe weather, meaning that's freezing out. No running water, which leads to the inadequate sanitary conditions and the use of the porta potty as the main bathroom. Those are really like the major violations that were cited under the.
Okay. Wendell, if I quickly ask you, is there a zoning violation as well? Several. And they've been documented. Is Mr. Basile aware of those? I know you've had come.
I notified Mr. Basile in the beginning of October after the trailer, storage trailer showed up, that wasn't allowed. He had come into my office. I also put a copy of the trailer bylaw on his trailer with a note to call me so we could talk about it. And we did speak about it. He basically told me his property was posted, stay off of it. And so he was kind of irate. The next time we spoke, I just tried to basically calm the situation and say, we're going to be building a house there. We're going to need to work together. I don't feel like this is the way we should start, but getting no results from that, a letter went out at the end of October. His wife picked it up at the post office, certified mail on November 1st at 1:40, I believe. And it basically outlined the violations of having a storage trailer on the property without a permit, having a camper on the property without permission, and also living in the camper, and also expressing my concerns about sleeping in there without life safety, carbon monoxide, smoke detection, whatever.
But there are violations to the Hampton Building Code, the zoning bylaws there?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. You're not allowed to live in a trailer unless your home for some reason has been burnt down or destroyed by a
Right, construction,
tornado,
yeah.
according to chapter 40A. The storage trailer would be considered a structure, and that's there without a permit. We don't allow those as a general rule in Hampden, unless for some reason, like there is a building permit, construction's ongoing, they want to store material there. But again, the first thing you would do would be get the required permits before any of these would be moved onto the site.
Okay.
Is there any
a
permits?
I'm sorry, is there a building permit for this site already?
There's no permits.
So right now it's a vacant lot?
Pardon me?
It's a vacant lot?
Right, he had purchased it from a couple that was going to build a house there, and they had started going through the process with conservation. A driveway curb cut was acquired by them through my department. I believe they had worked with the Board of Health to get a perk test and a septic designed, but all that paperwork has the wrong name on it. And so I had given Mr. Basile a list of the requirements that he would need to acquire a permit.
The standard checklist?
Right. Well, there was one that I made up for him, especially where it was, get a stormwater permit. That's the first permit that you have to get. A curb cut needs to be in place with the bond, the building permit, and also satisfy the Board of Health with regards to their paperwork requirements, which are updated signatures, updated plans, et cetera.
Right. But it was a valid building lot from the get-go, frontage and all that, that was no problem. Okay.
Correct, I mean, there's conservation issues with it as well. It's a small building envelope,
Okay. All right.
but I think that they've been working through that as well.
Okay. All right, we'll open up to other members of the board. They have questions for Finn or Wendell.
Wendell, I don't know if you know this, so I'm just asking in general. On the documentation, it's listed as a parcel number currently.
Correct.
How does somebody obtain a residential address?
After a building permit is
Okay.
issued, I give them a street number.
Okay, so then nothing has happened as far as that's concerned.
Correct.
Okay, Thank you.
The prior owners had not applied for a building permit either?
No.
Okay. Don?
But you've appealed this before the zoning board of appeals, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we're talking about Board of Health now.
yes.
Okay. So no running water, no proper sanitation facilities, and we don't, living in the trailer. Okay,
All right, so that's the background for what we're doing here.
Understood.
Mr. Sclafani, I don't know if you want to speak, or
Yeah.
Mr. Castillo, you want? I mean, he's like thousands an hour, I'm sure you want to like.
I only charge by the cookie.
okay,
Have one.
Would it were that easy, right, Tony? If you work for a cookie?
My understanding is that nobody's living there. He's not living there. That seems to be a point of disagreement. He's not living in the trailer. So that seems to be a factual discrepancy. My client tells me he's not living there. So he's just using it because he's trying to work on getting the necessary permits to start building on a vacant parcel. And that was the whole idea of purchasing this. So under the zoning, since that came up, under the bylaws, 7.11, no trailer or mobile home shall be permitted in any district except a travel or camping trailer owned or rented by the owner or resident of the property may be stored on the premises. Such travel or camping trailer shall not be used for living purposes, except as was stated when a residence was destroyed. It's described under the chapter 40A. So he has a right to have those trailers on the property, but he's not living in them. That's my understanding. He can speak more on that. And that was, I think that was the misunderstanding of what was going on here.
but the trailers on the property is a zoning thing.
Right, so I know zoning was mentioned.
Right, okay, so
Right.
are you living on the property or not?
No.
What's with the porta potties?
Porta potties, when I come back in town and I meet with my wife, and I wanna spend some time with my wife, I'm living with my mother, gentlemen. If I wanna, excuse me, ladies, if I wanna spend some time with my wife, I might go back there and she has a bathroom to use. Okay, I bought this property, sold my house, things happened real quick. We're homeless, period. And I'm not looking for no sympathy. Bouncing around place to place, okay, because the house sold quick and they handed me a check. Buy this property, talking to Miss Claudia O'Brien, it's all ready to build and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I come into town, never applied for building permits. I'm in the construction trades. They do all that, union roofing. We just go to work, come in, talk to Wendell a couple times, clash of personalities. I come off the wrong way, don't know the process. First started with changing the name, took me 4 weeks to track the gentleman down to change the name for me. Septic, to approve the building, the plot plan, not changing the footprint. The well is in. Wanted submit my plans with the paperwork, didn't know how to go about this. Maybe should have came and sat down and, can you help me out in the process so I do it correctly? I did it incorrectly. Still, conservation had to give me an extension, didn't understand the process. Now I bring my stuff to my property, figuring it's my property, didn't check. The God's honest truth, and now I'm dealing with the violations. I work out of town a lot, do come in from time to time. I have other vehicles that are there, the storage container with my personal property. Move the house, gotta put it somewhere. It happened like a 2-week period.
But you're not living in the trailer.
No,
You're living at your mother.
bouncing around. But I do come back, wanna check on the property, I have stuff there, and
May probably inappropriate question, may I ask where your wife is living?
with me.
That's your mother's.
Yes,
Can I ask you where your mother lives?
in Springfield.
So you come out to this property to do what?
Enjoy the sunset, I can't come and sit on my property? Is that?
No, I didn't know
I
if you were
mean,
working on
that's
it.
what I do, take a walk in the woods, I got 12 acres, I haven't even been to the back yet, visit with the neighbors.
I'm asking because I don't know if you're there working on it, you know.
I can't, until I get a permit, I can't,
The well is in?
The well is
You have
in.
a permit for the well?
excuse me?
You have a permit for the
The
well?
well was in when I bought the piece.
Okay.
Complete.
And the septic system
Septic design.
is done, but the septic system isn't in yet.
So you're just storing the trailer there.
I work out of town a lot, bounce around, I don't know, I could be in town this week, it could change, you get a phone call, now you're going to Maine, or we need you in New York, or wherever the work is. So, looks like there's a lot of local work.
So what's your response to the representation that you admitted you were living there? I heard that.
I told him that, he said I admitted to living there, I said, we do come back time to time, but I'm not living there like it's my residence, I have a PO box and
Do you spend overnights there?
I have.
Okay, I think it's a definition thing, maybe it's semantics, but it's a definition thing. So living, whether you say it's like days at a time or one night staying there, I think the rule is that no overnights. I mean, that's living there.
So I think he understands he can't do that. And that was never his intention. And that's why his mindset is he was never living there. He's not using, there's no running water there and something like that.
And I know, Mr. Basile, and you were saying, I don't want to get into it. At times, you guys want some privacy, is what I'm taking from what you were saying before.
Yeah,
Correct, okay. So, but I don't think we can allow that to be overnight. But I also get into, you do have the overarch, as Mr. Davenport said, the Board of Appeals thing handles the other parts separately than what we're talking about here. Finn, in terms of the health violations, if there is no overnight and perhaps the porta potty was removed, is there still a violation?
I guess there's no violation if that's not gonna be where he's staying at overnight. And if the porta potty was, not the permanent bathroom there.
I would assume most,
So it shouldn't be.
I assume you come during the day, you're doing some paperwork, and most trailers have a small facility inside.
I don't use it at all.
Doesn't have one?
Yeah, I don't use it. I do not use it, that's why I put the porta potty outside.
Well, that's unfortunately what I think might be a,
Do you need to store the porta potty there? Do you need to leave it there?
I can get it out,
looking for a resolution.
Right.
Okay.
we are as well.
This does not take care of anything going on with the building department. But that was background to where we are here. Don, your thoughts?
Do you need a permit for a porta potty?
We don't have any porta potty permits, no. Some towns have their own.
Well, what do they do on construction sites?
Like I said, some towns might have a permit, like I know Munson does, they'll have to let us know where the porta potties are gonna be. I'm not sure what they might do at a construction site.
I think, Mr. Sclafani, that the big thing here is the overnight part, in my mind.
Right. I think it's clear that you can easily assure them that's not gonna happen. Right?
Right.
Okay, if I can be blunt on my, we appreciate your comment. If it happens to not hold up in the future, I think we'll be back for this. You understand what I'm saying? That, if we take you at your word and we trust you on this, it has to be a two-way street.
Understood.
I'm talking then to the health department. What do we need to remove what does he need to do to get out of the violation? Not stay there overnight,
That's the main thing,
right?
porta potty removed. That's really the main items. I would be somewhat concerned of the trailer bathroom potentially still being used. And if that's not, if it was just, going out to
It's not,
regulate. Yeah,
I'm a
I
camper.
believe
Can I
I'm
just,
just-
let
I
me
know.
explain, I'm a camper for a long time. You can't just do that.
Right.
It's a holding tank, you dump it, you know, I've had it in campgrounds, it's,
Well, that would be my concern is if the holding tank.
You can't do that.
Dump, you know,
you can't
there.
hold water, it's gonna freeze. You can't,
Right.
it's just, that's why I had a camp put there,
Yes,
so.
I understand what you're saying, but it's just, you know, it's not freezing out.
I think it's clear he wasn't using that, that's why that porta potty was there, no limitation. But
Yeah, well,
we need to have the porta
Inside,
potty.
there's
I
no
wouldn't-
running water to the
I got it,
inside,
but I'm
so
just saying the
there's
porta
no
potty
water
wouldn't be my
in the
choice at
tank.
7 AM in the morning either, but,
But you gotta understand, you what's in there, and there's no water in the tanks at all. It's been winterized before I brought it there, and it's down, it's,
so you're using this more as an office at some time? But that's still gonna be an issue,
no, it was my camper that I brought there.
That's a place to store it. And he has to-
Somewhere to put it,
which is a different, and we'll let the appeals handle that.
Do you have a time frame that you are looking to build a residence there?
I would like to apply, get my permit and this paperwork in as soon as I can. You know, I got great weather, I'd like to get it up as soon as I can, you know,
Right, but I'm just asking, do you have a realistic timeline? Like, are you looking like in the spring, you're looking to start
Yes.
breaking ground?
as soon as, yeah, as sooner the better,
Because you purchased it in August.
right? And I have plans, I want to complete the paperwork and get my application in.
Don? Any thoughts? Brian, you want to, anything chip in? No? Okay.
I think as far as the health violations, is if he, like you said, take him at his word, he's not staying there, and the porta potty's removed, then the violations on our concerns
There are no violations at that point.
at that point.
I'm asking, go ahead, Fed, if you have a
I was just
comment.
gonna say, if it becomes apparent that he is staying there overnight, then that's when, you know, it could be, these violations are enough to essentially condemn a property. So it could be, you know, locked up and posted on there that if he re-enters, that it's, you know, that's after, if there was a case where he was staying overnight, then it would be posted as condemned, because you're in these major violations at that point again, but if you're not living there, then they're not.
So you see what he's saying there, that that is our recourse if the, I won't say agreement or whatever, if our understanding is not lived up to, that's our recourse, is to padlock and condemn. Which is harsh, so it really puts the, it's incumbent upon you to, basically, it's an easy solution for you. Don't stay overnight.
I think it makes everything very clear. Makes everything very clear.
Right.
Because everybody stands.
Right. I guess a motion to instruct the violator to remove the porta potty by the end of this week. Okay, and no overnight accommodation, no overnight staying in the trailer. This has no bearing on any zoning board of appeals or housing violation at this, by our action. Correct?
Correct. So moved.
Second.
Question, I can go visit my property and spend time on it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just be
we're
home-
clear with that,
Just be
right?
home by 12, just like Mom would have told you anyhow.
How many streetlights are on?
That's fine.
Yeah, what's the definition of overnight? That's what I'm going.
Well, I don't think there's streetlights
No
on
overnight
Scannick.
stays, that's,
So if he's there at 1 in the morning and then leaves, is that different than if he was at 2 in the morning?
I think at that point, you're what, following state sound
Right.
levels, so it's a
Yeah.
noise.
I don't think we want to leave any ambiguity. I
Right.
think we all want to be,
yeah.
walk away with this with a solution.
Right.
So let's not push it, let's not push
I
anything.
look, I think I'm gonna be around for a while, I wanna pay my taxes in Hampton for a while, so the sooner I get a house,
So we appreciate that.
my taxes will go up as well,
All right,
We sure will.
right?
The assessor,
all right, so anyhow, so we have motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you for your
all right,
patience.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Charles, are you, who's getting a cookie?
No,
What
but I'm on a new
cookie?
program, trying to lose weight.
They never work.
I only got one-
I've been on that
I only
program.
got 1 free day a week, it's called Body Fight Program. Nope, only Sundays.
Well, I'm gonna have to come and see you.
Yeah, that's a cheat day, always yesterday.
Have you saved them from prior years? This is our third one this week.
Those are easy.
Yeah.
I'm one of the attorneys for the town of Agawam. So I deal with a lot of light property, deal with wetlands, deal with plants. I'm usually on the other side.
Yeah, but
I'm usually filing complaints for blight property. That's the thing, I deal with the building. Case we,
You know what I mean?
those kind of issues, and into the house without
So I'm gonna
a
say.
CO. So,
But I
The proposed changes.
We all think different things, you know?
Well, we're solution-based here if we
well, I
can.
appreciate it because it's a long-term relationship, and, helping each other. Not easy.
Will you also be there for the ZBA when that happens?
Everybody,
Oh, yeah.
Don't have a date yet.
House for a long time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thing, I treat everybody the same.
I brought it to this James' attention.
Okay.
The state police, I believe, have been there, so.
Yeah, but, you know, me and her went by at night, her got in the house, filling the dumpster.
We'll send the Hampden Coyotes over there. Okay, they're trained coyotes.
That technically closes the hearing unless anyone has
Oh,
anything
yes.
else.
So move, we're closing the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Hampden-Wilbraham Regional School District proposed regional agreement, and the chairman of the board, chairperson of the board, Michelle Boudreau, was kind enough to come in and give us a brief rundown.
Yep. Okay, so I'm just here to speak on the major
Yeah,
changes
yeah.
that we are talking about. So the first is the location of schools and assignment of students. So here we're, since the district is currently regionalized pre-K to 12, the updated language would give the committee authority to designate which schools residents of member towns will attend within the district for grades 6 to 12. So students will attend school in their town, pre-K to 5, and then 6 to 12, it would be at the district's discretion. So that's the first. The second is the school committee member terms. So the term language for the school committee members has been revised to clarify that the terms begin on July 1st of the election year, and they will continue until the successors are elected, qualified, and seated. And so the ballots will now state that the start date will be July 1st, because as you know, most elections, they're elected there,
Oh, the ballot, the actual ballot's gonna say that?
Yes, it's going to state that their term does not begin until July 1st.
So full school year.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Fiscal year,
Well,
yes.
the reason it came about, and I don't know if you recall this, you had a couple of members on the school committee that felt bad about leaving the committee before graduation,
Yeah.
because they'd been there and they wanted to sit at the graduation ceremony. That was the only reason it was changed to July 1st.
Well, if you're working throughout projects and you want to make sure they're wrapped up before.
Well, they felt the continuity, you wanted to be there for
There are
that.
so many end-of-the-year events that celebrate the students, and so it's really, it would be a shame to not be able to participate in those events, so.
So I want to make sure, so the committee is still in favor of continuing that?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Because
But
I've seen
now
some
we'll-
I've seen some comment where people say, oh, that's silly, why do we do that? There's a valid reason for it.
Yes,
And to be honest, the school committee people, and Don, you were on the school committee.
Forever.
Okay.
Seemed that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna look, you're 112 now. But you're on like 5 committees. The work, you may not agree with what the school committee does or a member, but you have to acknowledge the effort they put in, you know? And to like deny them this makes no sense at all.
and the superintendent did check in with both town clerks, and they said that it wouldn't be an issue, and that is our practice today, so it just would be updating the regional agreement, but on the ballot, you would see that the school committee, that cycle does not begin until July 1.
Fair enough.
The next one is the compliance with the one person, one vote requirement. So this updated language would ensure compliance with the US constitutional requirement. So this would be specifying that the number of voting members and the voting weight of each member will be reviewed every 5 years. So this review will be based on the town census, which would be certified by each town's town clerk.
Would it ever drop below 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
The weight of vote, yes.
So could Hampden have less than 2 votes?
2 full votes,
Yeah.
yes,
Could they have less than 2 full votes?
yes.
Yeah. But that's a Department of Education, that's a DESI thing,
Correct.
right? We have to do it that way.
We have to follow that standard, is the way it is?
I thought we were limited by, what was it, 71, about the 3 different choices we had to make up the school committee. You know, in terms of like the apportionment part for the district-wide election, which would be nothing foolish for Hampden. That's why we stayed with the 5-2. And
Yeah,
it-
but
the weighted vote thing, I thought, had to do with internal,
you know, the weighted vote thing is a lot of other regions, many regions do it that way now. And especially the ones that have like 7 different towns or 5, they have a weighted vote based on population. You still have 2 Hampden's voices,
Members, yes.
but your total vote may only be 1.5.
And it's town population, not student population in a school.
Voter population.
Voter population, okay. Let me make sure it's not like,
It's census, it's town census.
so Brian, this must have been what happened up with you. You had a 4-member district, correct? Or
Yeah.
was it weighted up there for?
Are you Hampshire, were you Hampshire?
That's the district my kids go to school in. But where I worked, yeah, I believe it was weighted voting in the regional school district.
Whaley, Deerfield, South Deerfield,
Yeah, it was Frontier.
yeah. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like.
That just isn't-
Spend half the meeting doing math.
Yeah, they did. What Aaron Osborne said, he was up in the Berkshires there, they did. They spent half the meeting doing the math
Right.
on every vote. And then when there was when you needed a 2/3 vote, he said we actually had a chart. At the meeting.
One Hampden
what I was
person
thinking,
votes,
yeah.
but if 2 Wilbraham vote, it counts for.
just for clarification though, that's mandated, not something we're looking to just change.
Right, the other option, so there were 2 options. The other option that we were looking at was.
You can do it 2 ways.
Right, each member shall be entitled to 1 vote at all committee meetings in order to ensure compliance with 1 person, 1 vote US constitutional requirement. The voting weight of each member will be reviewed every 5 years. Oh, that's what we're doing. The review will compare to the voting ratio to each town census as certified by the town clerk in each member town. The other option would be each member shall be entitled to 1 vote at all committee meetings. In order to ensure compliance with the 1 person, 1 vote US constitutional requirement, the number of voting members and voting weight of each member will be reviewed every 5 years. The review will compare the voting ratio to each town census as certified by the town clerk in each member town.
So we could lose a whole person.
All right, but play this out for me. Right now, we have 5 Wilbraham members and 2 Hampden members. And you're also saying that not only are they 5-2, but the 2 Hampden votes actually count less than 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're even worse off.
And but the 5 Wilbraham votes would be less as well.
Right. But in the other situation there, you could be in a position where we add more members, but we're just adding more Wilbraham members.
They would add more members, they would add more.
Well, the other 2 ways go district-wide voting where they out, you
Dilute it, right.
know,
Right.
it'd be hard to win as a Hampden person.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Get a calculator, is that in the budget? Is there an Excel sheet for this?
Unfortunately, it's one of those state things I don't think we have any say in.
No, we
It's
don't.
another mandate. that
Oh, I know, I
affects
agree, I'm
small
just saying
towns.
that if this has been around for a while, I do not recall really this happening much at school committee meetings where you figure out, oh, the vote was 4-3. Let's see, but that was a Hampden one, maybe it was
Yeah, but 'cause we didn't-
3.5 to 4.
We didn't do it that way under
Right.
the regional agreement. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if we didn't change that part, would we be in violation?
What's,
DESI wouldn't approve the
Right.
agreement.
So in order for DESI to approve the change, this has to be.
this is one of the ones they threw at us saying, okay, if you're gonna open up an agreement, you better fix this.
Right, and
And if we hadn't, we wouldn't have.
Right.
Okay.
and there were 2 options for each, many options, and then the school committee just voted at our last
So
meeting.
this is DESI's recommendation for what you just said.
But like I said, because we're
They said if you open up the regional agreement, you gotta do this, one of these other.
Gotcha.
you shouldn't have sent them the whole thing. Page 1, that's all we wanted.
The next is the assessing costs for vocational education. So the revised language would just specify that the tuition for transportation costs, and the tuition for the program will be included in the district's operational costs. So these costs will be assessed to the member towns using the agreed formula, replacing the prior method of directly billing the town, the student's town of residence. But we've been operating this way
Anyway,
anyway.
Right,
So we're just going to keep it, and we're going to be including it in the operating budget.
which will now be in compliance with what they
Correct.
suggested. Fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next is the student transfer requests. So the school committee actually voted that no changes will be made to the current policy. So transfer requests will remain at the discretion of the school committee. So the planning committee did recommend that it be at the sole discretion of the superintendent for educational purposes only. And the school committee it was a 4-3 vote to keep it at the discretion of the school committee.
Was that a weighted vote?
no.
The next is the assessment method. So this is, operating costs will be calculated using a 3-year rolling average of foundation enrollment for grades pre-K through 12 across the member towns. So this method requires annual approval by both member towns.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. Operating costs will be calculated using a 3-year rolling average of the foundation enrollment. So that's the October 1st
Yeah.
enrollment for grades pre-K to 12 across member towns. But this method requires annual approval by member towns. Otherwise, this statutory method will apply by default.
How does that change if the regional agreements change at the beginning for grade level?
So there's a second component to that, which is the status of Wilbraham Middle School. So the school committee is currently seeking legal opinion from council as to, if we chose to move forward with, or if the decision is made that we'd like to make Wilbraham Middle School a regional building, similar to Minnetonka.
So,
It would change the assessment slightly.
no, the first thing is the assessment is the budget, the operating budget.
Right. So where
It'll be a 3-year rolling average, or the statutory method, which is, if you have 100 kids in Wilbraham, they pay X, and the 50 kids in Hampden pay X, right? But you have to vote on the rolling method every single year. If the town votes no on that, then you go to the regular assessment, so,
So we have to explain that at the town meeting, the rolling thing?
yeah,
Michelle has to.
yeah.
No,
And then the other thing is for capital expenses, right?
Correct.
right, and I know this wasn't the purpose of this, but the conversation about the Wilbraham Middle School, are they also talking about changing the land to be the same as Minnetonka, or just the building?
Just the building, so.
So the property itself would still belong to Wilbraham?
Well, I think it's all, I don't know that the town of Wilbraham has thoroughly vetted this or actually even received an opinion from their legal counsel, but just, it sounds like there are only a few options in order to move forward with this. So we can, amend the lease agreement between the district and Wilbraham Middle School, or there could be a real estate transaction. Or keep it the same as is and maybe just charge tuition. But we don't know. There's been no conversation about.
Charge tuition?
Well, no, I'm just saying that we're either going to amend the lease, between the district and the town. Or, if the town decided that they would want to sell the building to the district.
Just for clarification, you didn't mean to say charge tuition, correct?
No, what I'm saying.
Kristen's on, so I want to make sure that.
Sorry, that sounds
Not
like,
charge tuition, but just figure something else out,
Yeah.
keep it as is, and how you would determine.
The capital expenses.
You're right,
expenses,
the ratios.
whatever it is. So it's just a matter of, we're trying to get clarification on, the exposure the district has and how that would work, because obviously we have all of our students in the district located at Wilbraham Middle School right now. There are capital needs, and it's just determining.
Their space needs to.
I understand, but it seems like, call it what it is. But if there are capital needs and you're talking about making it a regional school, is the purpose solely to make sure that Hampden pays part of the cost of any upgrades if we make it a regional school? And Don, you've been part of this a bit. Right now, as a Wilbraham building, Wilbraham is responsible for the capital costs. And it seems like the only purpose of a change like this would be allowing them to then bill the percentage back to him for capital needs.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Oh, gosh, sounds like, okay.
Which is why I still think we need TWB for that aspect.
Yeah, middle school next to Minichog.
We have not had zero discussions about building a new middle school.
Not anymore.
You want to put those rumors
Cost
aside?
went up, but
They have not been happening.
that can't be true. I saw on
Through
Facebook
this
you have been.
conversation Anyway.
The original premise of all this was to do something to resolve the overcrowding in several of the schools, and mostly in the middle school. And the answer to that clearly was to transfer the 8th grade to the high school, which is done in regions all over the state. They can't do that because the agreement says they have to go there. And that's, so.
So is there part of this that allows that as well? If
Oh, yeah.
If you make
That First
Wilbraham
Amendment,
Middle
right?
School a regional school, then you can put any grade at any regional school. You don't need to call out 8th specifically for the high school, right?
Well, the first portion is just allowing the district to determine where students in grades 6 to 12 attend school.
Right, that's what I'm saying, in any regional building. Heck, with this language, you could put 6th grade over there if you wanted to, which nobody would do.
I don't think it's limited to regional building, no. I think
Right.
it's limited district
Wherever,
building.
they could go to any, it's about the placement of the student. But it's, what this is doing
Well-
is it's saying that students in grades pre-K to 5 will be,
Well, as Don said, that 8th grade shift takes care of, well, helps with the overcrowding part. But this other thing does potentially bring a bill to the town of Hampden.
Yes,
Right.
if they do that. Yeah. But that's really not part of the regional agreement, right? That's something outside the regional agreement. I mean, if they,
Yes.
if they say that they could move the thing, that's something that Wilbraham and in the region are gonna have to work out. And that's gonna create a whole different,
where it does fall into is the assessment,
right?
right?
Okay, but here's the thing. I think this also was a conversation between the Select Board of Hampden and the Select Board of Wilbraham.
Right.
Where you have this building that has capital needs. And I think this was actually touched on in terms of percentage, but the last time we talked about a thing where, okay, you will help you, but not the roof and not the parking, because you let that go down, and that's just because we're moving in,
brand
all of
new.
a sudden we get it.
Roof's brand new.
This was like 3 or 4 years ago. So I think there
paid off?
still needs,
Is the roof bond, is there a bond on the roof?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
but
think so
Don't quote me
either.
on that.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, not that kind of bond. I mean, I'm not bond for the life, like,
Yeah, to pay for it.
no, the bond that makes it good, like you have a bond, like we had a bond on Thornton Burgess for 25 years, lifetime. For warranty,
But
or
they-
warranty,
I think the
warranty
roof,
bond.
the roof is paid off.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I still think that kind of conversation, depending on what the
That's
potential
select board-
is.
The select board
Exactly.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will, at our meeting on Thursday, hopefully we will have some sort of opinion from our attorney, that there will be a discussion.
Okay. Great.
Great.
Anything else?
What is your plan to present this to the public? Or,
We have a planning meeting next Tuesday.
Okay.
And we will discuss that.
okay, good. Because that's going to be key.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. So the
Wilbraham
major
one
thing
worked
that
out
we
so
had
well.
gone through is the school committee hadn't decided on,
The first forum went so well.
Yeah, the Wilbraham Forum worked so well.
well, now that we've decided, we voted on, how the school committee
Yeah.
would like to move forward. I mean, that was the first step. We hadn't made those decisions, so, but we, time is not on our side, so we do have to get moving.
Yeah,
And I sent to Michelle and the superintendent, that March 1st was the deadline, but, at least let us know, draft.
or at
and
least
then
the
we-
placeholder.
Placeholder. And you're gonna do it one warrant article, right?
Correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay, now we're
right.
starting at 6:30 again?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Would you
Michelle.
like a cookie?
Oh, no, thank you.
Come on. Look at all of them. Do you want to take the bag home for the kids?
No, okay, thank you.
It's so hard to get lunch tomorrow, so they could take it with them.
You probably bake all the time yourself, right? Bye.
Right.
All right. That ought to go well. All right. And on the 50th anniversary, I just wanted to bring it up because we got to think about, do we want to, just begin thinking about, do we want a big gala thing? They did a great thing in the 100th. Do we-
I know, and I brought that up 4 years ago, and I
501c.
asked about the, putting the
Put some
10,000
money
every now
away,
and then,
right.
but I think it's good to think ahead of it. I think though, talking, and we haven't specifically said, but I would think you'd be talking late summer, fall of 2028.
Right.
If we were looking for a committee now, they'd be a 3+ year term. And honestly, I don't know if we get anybody to commit like that. I think the first year should be our board and that town administrator guy do some research.
Find a cake,
Town
What?
administrator guy.
Get the cake
the
going?
big cakes,
No, I tell you,
trailer cakes.
I think we should shut down Main Street and have a big block party.
the thing that you need to do early is locking up people. Something like that. If we're gonna ask for the, is it a new governor by then, possibly? When is the gubernatorial election?
I don't know. Not soon enough.
2 more years?
Talk about 20.
Don't print that, Chris, please. We still want our state.
2024, right? No, it's 20,
I think it's
26.
26.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'd have to put like a note out to just say, we'd like to lock in the governor, whoever, but Richie Neal's probably still being in office, right?
yeah,
They don't have term limits yet?
What?
They don't have term limits yet?
no. And what about, Brian, 501c?
Oh, we got that.
Yeah, in, when they did, somebody did 250th in Whately, they had a
Well, that's why we want to
Friends
do
of the 250th that
appropriation
Yeah, we would need that.
specifically
did a lot of
for,
the,
you know,
just freeze
the
it
money
up.
was tied up and
Yeah.
people.
A lot easier.
Yeah.
Actually, we should, I'm gonna post the town report. I wonder if we had a separate committee. You know, almost like now.
I think they must have, because they raised money, they
Right.
sold.
Easier to
and
do
all that
fundraising
stuff,
for
you know?
a 501c3.
Yeah.
There's less rules for a 501c3 for fundraising.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
I remember it was 50
You know who
years
I'm thinking
ago.
about? That's already a 501c.
Well,
We could create our own.
Technically, well, we'd be reaching out to them anyhow,
Right.
no, of course.
good.
And all the members of the historical commission, it's still just your,
I think it's just Connie now,
no, the historical commission.
right?
That was your wife.
Was-
I said, ran into Betty, and she said she thought it was just your wife left on.
I thought it was just Connie, because, yeah,
Did she leave? Christina?
she never re-upped.
I thought it was appointed.
It was 3 years, we didn't appoint.
Sure we did. You weren't there?
Nope,
We appointed him too, didn't we?
I think so.
nope.
And I was at a quorum.
But, you know, we could, you get some, old tractors from Dave, and,
Dave Sheeson?
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to put it on the
Yeah, I
radar.
think it's a good idea, Don.
You put it on. Okay,
We'll put it in the newsletter.
contracts, we got highway superintendent and highway contract, union contract, so town administrator needs to negotiate those.
That's why I asked the
Negotiation,
question about the
yeah,
rider thing.
I don't think that goes, this is a whole new contract, though.
Yeah,
No, I know that, but I thought in the current one, don't we have the discussion
We
in
do.
February? And that's why I asked them for the number.
Wait, for
I
what-
don't think we have.
which contract are we talking about right now?
I don't think it's high enough to pull
The
the.
highway,
Yeah,
Oh, the highway.
but I don't,
Right, it has to be above the
above
the
3.
CPI.
which you said it was, but it's not, I don't think it's above what we
It's
gave
like
before, I think.
3.1 or something like that.
And what was their number for this year?
4,
Right. So, I just want to make sure we're covered.
yeah.
Yep.
And we got the ambulance,
Which is a whole new contract.
which is a whole new contract for them, so.
We actually might be at the point where we've extended, I believe, the contract for McNamara, might be the maximum amount of times done.
Oh, really?
We might be looking at that again, and maybe,
Right.
yeah.
So I guess on the highway and highway superintendent, you just need to get a hold of them and say, when do they want to meet and start talking about this? And the ambulance, start with sending it out to Action, saying, what's your best deal?
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Right? Evaluation, now, all the contracts that we have, police and town administrator and highway superintendent, said we have to do an annual evaluation, so we can get standard forms, and probably, a lot of times when they do evaluations, the first thing they do is, you know, have the person do a self-evaluation, then maybe we have a score thing that says, you know, leadership, goals, communication, we do, I think we said so.
You did it once, I think Mary Ellen had to do it once for Bob one time,
Yeah.
remember?
So maybe if I dig that stuff out, I'll send it along, and we can work on it.
Usually it's done with a retreat. I'm thinking down at Port Lucie, or maybe
Four Corners,
Port Lucie down in Florida, very nice retreat.
that we're in a preamble or whatever you call it.
Well, on the 20th of January, everyone at Mar-a-Lago is gonna be in Washington, so maybe we can make a call and.
Who would know?
You use their place.
We'll fly my drone down there.
Fly your drone down there.
Oh, you go through all the other ones?
So I'll get something for that.
There haven't been any reported over Hampden, right?
Cannot
Just the
confirm or
master,
deny.
just the master plan one in Craig's.
All right, select board members' reports?
We have meetings this week, there's a planning board meeting this week, nothing terribly urgent on it. Building committee meeting next Monday. And something, I don't know, we're hanging around in the town hall tomorrow morning for something, I think.
Oh, yeah, we got municipal building talking meeting.
Great, save those.
You brought up the point that 16 Summers Road, there was someone here at the planning board for.
Correct, so this couple came in, they're putting in, gosh, I think it was a
Physical therapist,
physical
right?
therapy massage type thing. And they're also selling part of the property to Penny Peck for increasing our parking. So I think that effectively takes that was the Pellegrino property, I believe,
Right.
out of, I know the question was there going to be an appeal, and I don't see how it could be now if they,
If they're selling, it's,
right, yeah.
is it in negotiations or is it done?
It sounded pretty firm, that they were locked in. It was more the A&R was need to be done because they need to cut that off the park.
I didn't rewatch the meeting, but are they reusing the building or are they gonna?
They're staying in the white building.
Just stay in the white building.
They plan on keeping the red building up as well. Yeah.
The
barn,
back
yeah.
there, right. Can planning board meeting possibly consider using Zoom this week?
They do whenever it's a public hearing, and they did last week, because I was there for that, it was Zoomed. The last two meetings have been Zoomed.
Yeah, we can ask.
Wait,
Oh, really? Yes, yeah, they were, I really wish all the meetings were, well, you're not wrong.
Can only recommend to a elected board, right?
All right, yeah,
Are we zooming, well, let me ask you, Don, are we zooming tomorrow morning?
yes, we are, aren't we? Yes.
Do we have are you doing it, Brian, or we have a person?
I'll do it, or Dan will do it, our new Zoom operator. I'll do it, or Dan will do it.
All right, town administrator's report?
So for wrapping up the EV project, the signage and the parking lot lines have been done. So that effectively wraps up that project. Still waiting on National Grid to set up the meter so we can get a bill, or maybe not, I shouldn't have called them. But, so the first month, we netted $227. I shouldn't say netted, because we didn't pay the electricity for it, but that's what came back.
The gross revenue?
Yeah,
Not bad for no advertising.
the gross revenue, right, so that was really just the
I
start
will
of it.
say, my daughter-in-law keeps checking for me, and it still does not show up on the, is it Red Z?
Ready?
Ready?
Red E.
Does not show up on their app yet.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on those emails where he said he's gonna manually update it, so, I don't know. We can look into that again. We had the open enrollment for the life insurance. So we added 22 new enrollees for the basic life insurance policy. So that went from 9 to 31.
Wow. Is there a component that the town pays for that?
For the basic, it's 50/50.
All right, and that's the current year's budget, or that starts July 1st?
It started January,
So
so we'll calculate the new costs for the,
do you think the
26.
increase in sign-up was because of our changing what our coverage was?
yeah, I think it was both of it. I don't think it was offered in the past, and I think there was a need for it,
Greater exposure plus the increase, okay.
yeah. Yeah. So PVPC had solicited projects for something called the RIP, the Resilience Improvement Plan. And so it's somewhere along the lines of MVP. I should say Mass DEP, Mass DOT solicited projects through PVPC. And I worked together with Mark, and we submitted the 3 bridge projects for funding to be included on that plan. I don't know if they'll be included or not. It's up to the MPO at this point. But it was a quick spreadsheet. So Mark and I filled that out, and we submitted that to the PVPC. It was due on the 3rd. The casino grant with the Gaming Commission, those are due at the end of this month. When I had a conversation with the staff there, they like the idea of Hike Hampden. They like that idea from a tourism generator standpoint. So I guess I'm trying to figure out exactly what a project like that would look like. They're really focused on marketing, somehow to get people into Hampden.
Okay. I got ideas on that, I'll send them.
Okay. So that's through the 31st? And then website training, with the new website, that's going to take place next week, mostly Tuesday through Thursday, with 3-hour sessions, basic users attending the first ones, and then module-specific training. So we'll have to pull staff during those periods to get the training, but the end product, I think, will be worth it, so. That's about it.
I forgot, I had submitted for the EMPG grant
All right.
back before the deadline for new CO detectors for the fire department. And we just got back a contract that Brian's going to authorize for the
Yeah,
grant.
so you got the grant.
Yeah. Until the contract's signed, we don't have it, but yeah. But yeah, it's very good.
Okay. Anything else to come before the board?
Only question I have is, are we continuing on with our bi-weekly meetings?
What we got next week? Well, we know we got something next week. I have nothing special on the 13th.
Well, we're not having the other thing. What date do we get for that?
16.
Now the 16th.
Morning, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if anything comes up, we can always like
Yeah, if something comes
post
up, we
something
can-
for right after the 2 meetings, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. So no meeting the 13th.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
No meeting the 13th?
No meeting the 13th.
Well, let's take a little more time this meeting then.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Get paid either way.
Yeah.